If everybody can please give a warm welcome to Amanda Dickinson.
All right, well, okay.
There you go.
Okay, just let me know if I need to hold it closer. Okay, well, I'm gonna be speaking on 5 ways to make extra cash from your rentals by yourself without buying another property. First, I'll talk about myself a little bit. So I'm Amanda Dickinson, like Ryan said. First of all, I'm a wife and a mother. So everything I do every day is because of those 3 kids there, soon to be 4. I'm the owner and broker at Living Doors Real Estate. I've owned Living Doors Real Estate since 2017. And then this last year, I also started coaching landlords who are self-managing their own rental properties to help them organize their business and just get things, going and running smoother and more automatic so they can make sure they are, getting the cash flow and the growth that they're looking for with their rental properties. So why I became a property manager, and this is kind of what Ryan was talking about a little bit. My parents owned rental properties when I was growing up. I had to go with my dad during the summers to work on those rental properties. Me and my brother mowed the lawns and scooped the snow. I think sometimes we thought it was very unfair that other kids got to go hang out with friends or go run the streets with their friends in towns, and we had to go with dad to the rental properties. I told my parents growing up that I was going to sell all the rental properties someday. And I was going to do nothing with real estate. Then I went to college undecided. I finally decided to get a business degree at college. I still didn't really know that I was going to go into real estate when I was in college, but when I was there, I took 2 real estate classes, actually from Jan Barron at UNL. So those classes kind of helped me out later on when I decided to go into real estate. When I was in college, I worked at a credit union, and after I graduated, I applied for a manager position at that credit union, and I got passed up for the job because, well, I don't know why, but because there was another gal who got it, and she had not graduated college yet, so that was kind of a blow to my ego, and I decided I was just going to leave the credit union altogether. Got a big girl job, I thought, with my college degree. At that job, I applied for many promotions and advancements and never got those as well. So I decided at that time to do my own thing and just give myself the promotion instead. So in February 2017, I got my broker's license. Those 2 classes I took at UNL went towards my broker's license already. And then in September 2018, I left that job and went full-time with Living Doors Real Estate. And that's a picture of me minutes after passing the broker's exam. So in the last year, I've been speaking to a lot of landlords about their goals and their struggles with managing their own rental properties. And also there's a disclaimer there that I am not an attorney, so none of this is legal advice. So always consult your attorney on stuff that I'm talking about as well. And when speaking with those landlords, the common struggles I hear from them is they don't have enough time. They need to fill their vacancies faster. They have tenants that aren't paying rent and they don't know how to handle those tenants. They don't know how to handle tenants when they have unauthorized pets or just are doing something inside their rental properties that goes against their lease. And they need to respond to maintenance faster, their maintenance requests a lot faster. It's easy to forget about those when they come in sometimes. And then on the flip side, the goals I hear from landlords is that they want to grow, scale, buy more properties, and increase their cash flow. So with those goals, the struggles and goals in mind, the landlords, I feel like always tell me that buying another property would solve, their struggle, or probably not their struggles, but their goals, help them reach that goal of scaling. And my question to them is always, how does that solution of buying another property actually help you with the struggles you're experiencing inside of your business already. Maybe there is a solution with the properties you already own that could help relieve your stress, increase that cash flow, and meet your goals before you are even ready to just purchase another property. So now we'll go into the 5 ways to make extra cash with the properties that you already have and by yourself. Number 1, treat your rental properties like a business and landlord like you're a property manager, because you are one. So I know if you have rental properties and you manage them on your own, you probably always get the question, are you a private landlord? Are you gonna do background checks? Are you gonna do all this stuff? And they're looking for those private owners to kind of squeeze by. That's why I tell my landlords that they need to manage like they are property managers, set your rental property business up like an actual business, because it is a business. So I suggest having a routine for your business tasks, making sure that you're gonna do your money-making activities and tasks before you even start your day. So examples of that would be responding to prospects, setting up showings, and maintenance requests, taking care of your tenants before you even think about the more fun things like going to buy another property, or remodeling something or renovating stuff. Set business hours. You are a business, set business hours so you control your own business. And those business hours need to be, make sure you're following them with your tenants. Set one way for your tenants to submit maintenance requests to you, and then have a second way where they submit emergency maintenance. So those come directly to you. All other communication with your tenants should come through email, text, or if you have like a portal or something. I'd say 95% of the things that tenants contact us about is not urgent and can be taken care of the next day. And even sometimes when those emergency maintenance requests are still things that can be taken care of the next day instead of right away, which then you need to have the backbone to kind of redirect the tenants to go to the portal to submit their maintenance request if they text your maintenance line instead. I say no calls. I do not accept calls unless it's by appointment. So they can text our office number and we'll set up an appointment to have a call about whatever they would like to speak about later on. A lot of that is reserving my energy or protecting my company and me from saying the wrong thing to people who are calling, because if they're calling, they're usually upset or, they have a complaint or something very urgent that might make you upset in return. And it's very easy to say the wrong thing when you're on the call then. And at the bottom there, most important, set up some business numbers so you don't give out your personal number. Number 2, know the landlord laws. This will help avoid silly and very costly mistakes. I pulled that bottom screenshot there from the Nebraska legislature website. That is the first violation and subsequent violations for fair housing. The first one could be $50,000 if you violate fair housing, which is not fun to fight if you do violate that. So just to save your time and energy and money, just know your laws, educate yourself on that. This is a screenshot of the cheapest, most recent eviction record I found in my system that we've done recently. So $501, not knowing how to use your notices could mean you have to start this process all over again once you thought you've already started it, and then you submit it to your lawyer and they say something's wrong. So then you have to send all your notices back out to your tenants and pay this fee all over again. So again, just knowing what you're doing to avoid those mistakes that can be prevented. This is just a list of laws you should know and be familiar with. So local and federal fair housing laws, Nebraska Landlord Tenant Act. If you're in other states, they have different laws for their tenant act. And then there's a list of notices that you use daily, weekly inside your rental property businesses as well. And when you don't know the law, make sure you have someone on your side that you can get a hold of real quickly. Troy Board's my attorney that I use, and I say someone you can get a hold of easily. I email him all the time with questions. I get charged usually for those emails with questions, but that small charge saves me a ton of money later on if I have to go to court later or even some more major trouble down the line. So I suggest reaching out to Troy if you have any questions. Number 3, be proactive. So lots of times landlords, when they are running the rental property business, they wait for their tenants to give them notices to vacate, and then they act surprised that their tenants are leaving, and then you have to start the vacancy turnover process, and you're not prepared to do it. So instead, turn that around and be proactive inside your rental property business. Do 6-month inspections inside your properties. This way you know what the condition is of your properties. So when they do vacate, you already know that you can just get it back on the market quickly, or it's going to need some work. Contact your tenants on a regular basis. Monthly newsletters, weekly texts. This is going to help you know what is happening inside your rental properties as well, or just letting your tenants know that they can communicate with you, feel more comfortable to communicate with you, and they will probably let you know what's going on inside those as well. Renew your leases before your tenants give you notice to vacate. So inside my management company, we do at least 90 days before the termination date. And during summer month terminations, I do 6 to 9 months before termination date. And I call that my pre-leasing. And I'm in the thick of pre-leasing right now. The bottom bullet there, make sure you're showing your units occupied if you can. If you know they're in good condition, I suggest showing them occupied. I think some people are scared to do that, but it helps with zero vacancy, knowing what needs to be done inside your rental properties. And I do that all the time. I show places that are dirty. I show places that are, last year we rented one that still had 6 months of remodeling that we were doing afterwards. So I had to walk through with all the materials for the remodel and kind of just like paint a picture of what the place looked like. This is my pre-leasing that is going on right now inside my rental property business, my property management. Mid-November, I sent out 86 pre-lease renewals. December 31st, all my tenants had to let me know, so those 86 units had to let me know if they were moving out or they were going to be staying. And keep in mind, they were telling me if they were going to be staying for 6 to 7 months down the line. So for the summer of 2025. And just here in January, the end of January, I did my first round of pre-leasing on those showings, and I had 19 showings in those 2 days, January 29th and 31st. And the result of those 2 showings is I have 4 units rented already, 2 pending leases, 1 pending app for an off-market property that didn't fit the need and necessity of those other properties I was showing. And then I have 1 tenant that changed their mind and they don't want to move anymore. So why would you want to pre-lease? You are going to get the most responsible and prepared tenants who are looking 6 to 7 months ahead of time. You're going to avoid vacancy this way. You can start scheduling your maintenance work early. So all my places that are rented, I can start scheduling out my contractors and the things that need to be done in there. If there's maintenance that needs to be done, we could start fixing things probably the month before we move those new tenants in. Less busy during the summertime. And I'm not competing with everybody else that is leasing their rentals during that summertime as well. And you retain your loyal tenants with the security of their leases for the next year. So I've got, most of my leases are then pre-leased through 2026 now. So we know what's going to be coming in for the next couple of years. It helps my property owners a lot when they go to when they go to refinance their properties, they have leases for 2 years to show their bankers as well. Number 4, this is probably my biggest one here. Stick to your lease. Your lease is your guideline with how to interact with your tenants, how your business should run, and you should stick to what is inside there. So make sure you are charging those late fees. That's extra cash flow that lots of people don't make sure they are charging, or make sure they are putting on their tenants, and have a procedure for the tenants that need assistance every once in a while. So my late fees do automatically come on the second of the month. Now that doesn't mean that I don't help people out when they need to pay late. I do have a procedure for that, and it's the same every month, and they know how to get a hold of me, and they know how to, when they need to tell us that they need to pay, if they need to pay late, they have to tell us by a certain date for us to be able to waive the late fee. Charge the return payment fees that are inside your lease. Make sure you're sending 14 30-day notices to correct and teach your tenants how to live inside your properties, how you expect them to take care of your properties. And legal notices come off strong with all the legal language, but your communication after a tenant gets the legal notices is when you can, help guide them and teach them how to correct those actions inside their property, so they know for next time how to act inside there and how you are going to respond to it as well. Charge the damages during the lease and not after. I'd say a lot of landlords don't charge for things that are happening inside their properties during the lease. And again, charging for that during the lease is just teaching them again how you would like them to act inside the property, treat the property, and know that they are going to have to pay for things that do happen. So maybe they'll think differently the next time that something does happen. And at the bottom there, I'd say clogged toilets and things not working due to tenants usage and negligence. It's easy to just avoid charging tenants for those, but those things are caused by them. Make sure they are getting charged for it and paying it as well. So this part, sticking to your lease and communicating with the tenants, I call this all part of my resident relationship. You can stick to your lease and still be sympathetic with your tenants, interact with them on a human level, and still get the results that you're looking for from your lease. This is your business, so you should be running the show and not letting your tenants dictate what happens inside your properties. Again, there's a way to do this where you still are treating your tenants like humans. They know that you care about them and the situations they're going through, but also having a plan of action of how you're going to stick to your lease. So like I said, always have a procedure or another alternative to help the tenants out in situations that do come up, because they are humans as well. They do have life circumstances that happen. Just make sure you have a procedure that is the same for all your tenants that you can stick by. And also, like going back to the paying rent on time, I have a list of also all the rental agencies that help with rent payments. So I share that pretty frequently to people that are behind, and ask them to reach out to those agencies to help them out and paying their rent as well. Number 5, add pure profit fees into your lease. So there are fees inside of our leases that we can add that are going to be strictly just pure profit, not part of your rent charge, and that's going to be helping you increase that cash flow. So the first one that is common inside my lease is a common area maintenance fee. This is one that you're going to use at properties that are multi-units, where you are taking care of lawn and snow and cleaning in the property that has common areas. In our leases, that fee ranges from $50 to $95 depending on the property. And then I have a resident benefit package fee. And this fee does help me cover the cost of reporting all of my tenants' on-time payments and late payments. I always lead with the on-time payments though when I'm explaining it to all three credit bureaus, so that helps boost the tenant's credit scores as they are living inside of your property. It also has discounts to different home services they would use, like internet, TV, security cameras. And then we have local coupons to businesses inside that. And there is companies that also offer furnace filter delivery with that resident benefit package as well. A renter's insurance fee. So I have the option for my tenants to either submit their own renter's insurance to us, or they can use our vendor to get insurance, or they can be put on our master landlord policy. And we charge $20 a month for that for the tenants. And then we only have to pay $14. So there's, again, some pure profit there that comes into that lease there. And I was pleasant when I started doing that. I was pleasantly surprised with how many people actually take you up on that. Probably because it's easier than just going out and finding their own renter's insurance. And then a one-time fee at lease signing for document administration, or just the work that you're doing to put together the lease for the tenants. And my fee for that is like $150. That's pure profit. Now, if you do have a license, you do have to call that a broker's commission or some kind of a commission inside of your lease, so they know that it is profit and a commission based there. I actually learned that fee from Paul Vacheski, who was here last month, I think. So I have learned a lot of things from him to put inside my lease, and of course, a lot of things to protect ourselves inside of our lease from him as well. So just some examples of adding that pure profit into your lease. A lot of my fees that are pure profit come with a partnership with a company. So I use CredHub for the credit reporting, and then LeaseTrack is the company that I use for renter's insurance as well. And down at the bottom, that's my example of renter's insurance, or the resident benefit package. I have 300 units. CredHub charges me $250 a unit for that resident benefit package, and I charge my tenants $10 a month. So that's about $2,200 a month that I'm making in profit from that fee and offering that service to my tenants. And I would say though, with those fees, make sure you do have some kind of service that the tenants are getting out of those fees. I don't think we want to just throw junk fees into our leases just to make profit. I think the tenants should be getting a benefit from them, and they should be seeing that benefit from those fees as well, so it makes sense to them. And then, of course, sometimes we all need a little help. So if you are managing on your own, there is ways to, partner with companies or hire within your company that would help you fast track your growth and your bank account growth as well. So time is the only thing we can't give back in life. So if one of your struggles inside your business is that you don't have enough time, maybe it is time to look to outsource some things inside of your company. You can automate as many tasks as possible. And inside my landlord coaching, I do teach my landlords how to automate as much as possible just through Google Workspace. There is lots of automation in there that you can do on the free version even that helps your business. Outsource the tasks that you dread doing. I do not like doing marketing or graphics or social media, so that is stuff that I outsource. If I did it, it would take me all week long to do it. And I have some virtual assistants that do it for me that takes them probably about 5 minutes to do it. So outsource things that you're dreading doing. And then again, use companies that provide a service for a small monthly fee. So those are the companies like CredHub and LeaseTrack. There's companies also that will, schedule your maintenance for you. There's companies for everything out there that, just for a small fee, you could outsource that. And at the bottom there, I always tell new landlords that they should start outsourcing or hire a property manager when they first start, because once you grow and have more properties, it's going to be a lot harder to give away your profit to some other companies to help you out. It's just gonna be harder to fathom giving up that number, that percentage to someone else after you've already seen all that income that's coming in and cash flow that's coming into your property or into your business. And then, of course, if you don't want to do it yourself, I do own Living Doors Real Estate, which is residential property management. I manage about 300 units here in Lincoln, Seward, and York area. And you can reach out to me if it's something management just isn't the thing that you want to do. You want properties, but you don't want to deal with all of the everyday tasks. It is a full-time job. I believe dealing with tenants and handling the things that come from your properties. So sometimes it's not everybody's cup of tea. And how a property manager could potentially increase your cash flow as well and the cash in your pocket, because I see with property management, usually we are probably can have our rents priced a little higher. More qualified tenants are coming towards management companies versus the unqualified who are trying to find private owners or trying to slip through the cracks to get approved for a property. But also, like I said, I do this day in, day out, so I've got strategies inside of my business that maybe if you're self-managing, you don't have the time to research or implement or put into your business. So that's where a property manager comes in hand to keep track of that on a daily basis as well for you. And then inside my landlord coaching, I'm going to give you a couple examples how a landlord coach can add zeros into your bank account balance as well. This was one of my landlords that came to me. I know you can't read all of that, and that's okay. You don't need to read the whole conversation there. It was a conversation with the landlord client that came to me and one of her tenants. Her tenant was telling her that she wasn't going to be able to pay rent on time. And this had been a reoccurrence with this tenant over and over. And the landlord she didn't know how to respond. She was letting it slip through the cracks. Eventually the tenant would pay. And of course she was getting kind of tired of, just letting it go. So I scripted up what to have that landlord tell her tenant. And she sent her tenant exactly what I was saying. Her tenant still was kind of pushing back on her and was kind of saying, I'll just go through the eviction process if I have to. But after my scripts with her tenant did pay in full before the 13th of the month instead of just whenever she thought she could get it is when she told the owner. So it does work to have, a set script that you're sending your tenants that work, having a process to replying to people to make sure they are following your lease and going to get that money to you. And landlord B, this landlord came to me, she had 8 units. 5 of them were rented and bringing in income. The others were vacant. 1 was a remodel project. And it was just a small remodel project. It was almost done. And another was a huge project that she needed to accomplish. Through working with me, I helped her put in some lease renewals with her current tenants. And then we got that vacant one rented while she was remodeling it and not after. I gave her a deadline to start putting the ads out there to showing it, challenged her with showing it while she was working inside of it. And she did get it rented. And that was that 3,100 jump there. But through working the lease renewals and working through my marketing and leasing, she increased her cash flow for the month by 30%. And I've got some things planned. Oh, I forgot. My husband has flyers that you're supposed to hand out at the beginning there. That kind of covers things that are going inside my landlord coaching. Quarter 1, I just put out a pre-sale of an ebook that is about self-managing a rental property as like a pro property manager. inside the ebook, it gives you a checklist of all of the policies and procedures you should have inside of your rental property business. It doesn't give you the full procedures of all of them, but it gives you a checklist of all of those items that you should have inside your business and know how to use when it comes to you. And then it also gives you 7 full templates of procedures as well. Like I said, that ebook is on pre-sale right now for $27. So there is a QR code on there if you'd like to check that out. It will go on sale on February 15th, and the price does go up on February 15th for that. In Q2, I'm planning a in-person and Zoom masterclass to help self-managing landlords as well. I'm still coming up with the exact topic, but it'll be based on that ebook and your templates and procedures that should go inside of your rental property business as well. Also in Q2, I will be launching just a course that you can go through on your own for property management and self-managing. And then in Q3, I will have 90-day landlord coaching program that you can work in a small group setting with me to help, automate and structure your rental property business. And something else I'm working inside of the landlord coaching is building out my virtual assistants. I have 2 virtual assistants that work for me inside of Living Doors Real Estate that you could hire one of them to help automate some of your processes inside of your business. They're already trained, and we can even develop the processes for you. My virtual assistants do all of my leasing for me and are working on all of my tenant communication as well. So with all my leasing, I just show up and show the rental properties, and they're the ones that go and find them, pre-qualify them for our showing to get to our showings, and I just show up and open the doors then. Or you could hire me to help you find a virtual assistant that would fit inside of your business as well. And I can help train that assistant to fit your business too. And the last thing, I also have a free landlord group on Facebook that I do a live training on inside that group once a week. There's a list there of the live trainings I've done so far inside that group. And if you would like to join that, there's a QR code on the page as well. My goal is to have 500 members there by the end of March. So if you could help me grow that, I would appreciate it, and share with other landlords that that are self-managing or just looking to network with other landlords as well and get advice. It's a good spot to ask your questions and get answers from other landlords across the country, and from me too. I'll pop in and give answers as well. That is the end of my presentation. If there's any questions now, feel free to answer.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions.
Okay.
So earlier in your presentation, I think it was on number 1, where you're saying run it like a business. You said no calls, it must be an appointment. So basically with that, you're getting it so that you try to diffuse as much of the emotion as possible. Is that it? And is it working where they will schedule an appointment to do a phone call?
Yes, I mean, sometimes you have some pushback on it, of course. But yes, I always tell them to either email me or we can set in a time to talk about it. I do like if they would email me or tell me kind of what they're worried about or what they would like to talk about before we get on the phone. So I can kind of prepare what my response or my answer is going to be. Because like I said, the emotions sometimes can run high when your tenants are coming at you, blaming you for things, and you just want to say in the heat of moment, say the wrong thing. And fair housing is a huge thing right now. So if you say the wrong thing, the tenants can go get help to help their cause for free. Whereas we would have to fight it on our side, so.
Okay. Surely other people have questions, otherwise I'm going to keep asking. So.
Steven?
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Amanda does my property management. She's great. She'd asked me to say that.
My question though, your landlord resident package, or whatever it's called. Three-part question. What do you usually charge them for that? You said part of it was reporting to credit agencies. Do you use like a tool so that doesn't take up a bunch of your time or it happens automatically? And I forget the third part, so.
Yeah, so I charge $10 a month for that, and I get charged from CredHub, who's the company I use to do the credit reporting, $2.50. I do have to go in every single month and report those, kind of just like edit, make sure they're correct, the balances are correct. Maybe there's a tenant that we have a payment plan with that we don't really want to submit to the credit bureaus. So just like edit the balances and make sure they're getting reported correctly to them. So it is a little bit of work. It's not tons of work, but that's where I also I try to add other benefits to the package so the tenants see that they are getting a service for that $10 a month. So like I said, discounts to those TV providers, internet providers, local companies that I can give them discounts to as well.
And that reminded me of the third part, the filter delivery, which is cool because then if they're responsible for it, they actually do it and don't destroy your furnaces. How do you arrange that to happen and how much do you have to pay for that?
I do not have that inside my benefit package.
Oh.
So I do know there's other companies that offer rent-a-citizen benefit package that have that service inside of it though.
So you probably charge the tenant more if you added that, I'm guessing.
It would just depend. Usually you would work with like CredHub, another third-party company, and you kind of set your charge off of what they're charging you. So it would just depend on what that third-party company would be charging me.
What are your minimum requirements for tenants moving in? Where you talked about your assistants pre-qualify before you do showing. What is that?
Yeah, so to pre-qualify, those are just your basic questions of asking them what's their monthly income, what's their income coming from, do they have pets, their credit score, and there's nothing, that's a free form that they fill out for that pre-qualification. They're just telling you, just filling out the answers. So there's no checking on anything at that point. But it does weed out people. So like we have non-smoking properties. Lots of times they might mark their smoking. So we're not going to waste our time going to show them. If they have pets and we're showing a property that doesn't accept pets, it either weeds them out or they'll change their mind and tell you it's an emotional support animal. So then you have kind of like a red flag on them, just to check them out more when they do get past that pre-showing then. When it comes to screening tenants, that's based off of your business, what you are looking to, some people have like niches of the people they're renting to. I do a 550 credit score or 0, which honestly, I think 550 is probably a low credit score that people do, but I dig into credit reports a lot, and look at what's on them. So I don't think that credit scores are always the sole picture of what is going on. So I do dig into a lot of other things. I do 2.5 times the rent for their income. And caveat, always say monthly income that they're getting. Don't require them to have like current employment or current job or something like that, be proof of income, because some people aren't employed, some people have disability or SSI, that's still monthly income that they can prove to you. That is something I learned from Paul Vacheski as well, that was here last month. And it could someday go into fair housing here shortly if you're following legislation right now. We do a good rental history. We call the last 2 landlords if we can. If we can't call last 2 landlords, we do try to verify property owners, verify addresses on IDs, do Facebook checks, social media checks. We do require 3 months of bank statements as well, which what we're looking for on there is their proof of income again on those.
Okay, right.
No, I've got more of the people.
Steven?
dangerous breeds for dogs these days? What's that like? What do you do?
Don't do a whole lot because usually they turn into emotional support animals then, and when they turn into emotional support animals, you can't do much about it. So I say to make your screening requirements, put those higher if you are worried about pets or dogs or something like that. That's going to weed them out before you get to a process there. Or if they're trying to get by or lie about something or emotional support animal, hopefully you can deny them on something else that's in your procedure or in your screening instead.
How do you monitor the market for rents?
We post out our ads to all of the major sites. So I have a third party, I use Tenant Turner to market all of my stuff, where it posts out to, Zillow, apartments.com, whatever other sites that are connected to there. I don't do Facebook. A couple of years ago, I actually got kicked off the marketplace for posting my rental properties. So I don't do marketplace on Facebook. I do have my business page on Facebook where we promote through that. Or we go through, groups on Facebook if people are saying they're looking for rentals and put our websites on that. I think Facebook is a place though where you have to weed out a lot of people, and that's a lot more work to find the qualified tenants through Facebook than through Zillow or apartments.com, where they're coming from, looking at your properties there.
Okay, so question on pre-leasing, and you mentioned like you even show units that are occupied but also dirty. So that's one of the reasons why we've never really done the pre-leasing, is because I just hate to take people through when it's dirty. So what's been your experience with that, and does it like totally turn any potential tenant off?
It might turn some people off. I guess you gotta walk through and be able to paint a picture of what it would look like when it is completely done or turned over. I did just rent a house that is pretty dirty, didn't have any furniture.
Dirty, it's filthy.
A broken door that he just had taken out, and even the bathroom was disgusting. He was like, I don't know if you guys want to look at that right now, but I'll send you a walkthrough video of the house that shows you what it will look like when you move in. And I even told him, I'll even sign something that says it'll look like this when you move in. So that they feel comfortable renting from me still or taking that property. And that place is one of my rented pre-lease properties, so.
Okay, and then are you just giving the tenant like a 24-hour notice, or are you giving like a week's heads up or a month's heads up? Like, hey, I'm gonna start.
So inside my lease, I do set that my pre-leasing, I only do showings 2 times a month until we are 90 days out from the termination date. After the 90 days, I can show it, whenever we have showings that get set up. But I only do 2 days a month. So then the tenants, because they get worried about you're going to be coming into their place all the time. 2 days a month, I do give them, usually at the beginning of the month, I text them and say, hey, these are the days for the month that we have showings set. And I let them know that this doesn't mean that I have a showing at your place. These are our reserved time slots. And then I let them know, the week of, I remind them of the showing dates. And then like 24 hours, we'll either let them know if we're coming in or we're not coming in. Because lots of times tenants text us and be like, are you coming? They're waiting for us to come through. So we always let them know that we're not coming as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Think about damages. How does that affect your security deposit? Where you pull from that too, or you're charging up front for?
When you're charging them while they're in your property?
Yeah.
So it just goes on, your tenant register or your ledger with them. And inside your lease, you should have some kind of clause that states that the damages do turn into like rent then. So once they pay the rent and then the next month rolls around, those damages are rent. They're allocated towards rent. So then they don't pay the full balance. You can start the 7-day notice process because they didn't pay their full rent on their register. So.
What is your process for tenants who are paying late?
So I don't have a grace period inside my lease. I send 7-day notices on the second day of the month. So lots of time when we send that 7-day notices on the second day of the month, that gets tenants communicating with us on how they are gonna pay. Now, if people tell me that they're paying on the or they're gonna be late, they have to tell us by the first of the month or before what day they're gonna pay and the full amount. They're paying the full amount on that day. And I tell them that I will remove the fee once I see that full amount paid on that day. Now, not everybody gets that benefit if they have late fees with us, a set number of late fees or a set number of return payments. We will not do that arrangement with them. And if tenants do have to make maybe some payments on instead and can't pay a full balance on like one day, I do sign like payment arrangements or a payment agreement with them. And I lay it out in a document where we both sign. So when it's not followed, I can just follow through with the 7-day notice. And since I do send that 7-day notice on the 7th or on the 2nd of the month, I can start that process whenever they fail to follow our payment agreements, since that's already put out there.
Along those lines, how often do you end up evicting people, or actually, how often do you take people to court for eviction?
Not too often. I'd say every few months, every 3 months or something. Maybe not even that often. I do work with people quite a bit on payment arrangements and stuff like that to keep them in there. And I have a set number that if they're under that set number on their balance, we don't start an eviction either, because it's a business decision of how much the eviction costs versus trying to work with them to get the money. Like you said, showed $500 is, a simple eviction. That's what it's going to cost to go to court. So if they only owe $200, it might not be worth it to, go to court with them. So we don't do it too often for evictions, but usually when we do, the tenant has already failed to follow payment agreements with us or keep their word on things. So, or they're just stop communicating at all, and then, that something's up.
Are you sure you're not just sending your husband to collect rent?
No, we make sure he doesn't, because I would be in court a lot more.
For people, I tell them all the time, like I said, send me, I'll try to collect it for you.
I would be in court a lot more if he went to go collect rent.
So is that another profit source for your business? That he can go out and collect rent for other people? Is that?
He has offered to squat in a property with people before to make them leave, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
So I have a question about the web form that you are using for prospecting. At what point in the lead process are you offering that?
As soon as they inquire about a property, I send them the form to fill out. I'm not doing any real communication with them. Or I should say my virtual assistants, my assistants are. I tell my assistants they can answer questions about the property, like the rent price, the amenities, facts about the property. But otherwise, we're always directing them to that form, and we're not really.
What is the process? What's the percentage in which they return that form?
If they want a showing, every single time. If they don't, and we can tell sometimes if they, the system that I used, I can tell if they don't answer some of the questions. So we'll just verify those questions with them sometimes. But yeah, if all of my showings have to fill out that form to go. So even those pre-leasing showings I had 19 showings. All 19 of those showings filled out that form for us.
Okay, thank you.
And when I started, I used just Google Forms. You don't need anything fancy to do that stuff.
Any other questions? All right, well, let's give Amanda a round of applause. So that was very good and very informative, so thank you, Amanda. And so if they want information on your weekly training with your Facebook group or something like that, it's on the flyer, is that right?
Yep, you could scan the QR code to join, or my contact's on there too, and we can get it to you.
Great, thank you.